So on today's video, we are going to go over the 5 steps that you should be implementing in your interview process if you want to avoid the pain of making your next bad hire. Hey everyone, welcome to the Nenni and Associates Executive Search channel. I'm Jim Schaefer, and we're focused here on providing you with exclusive content for improving your hiring, interviewing, and recruiting strategies. Now, if you're new here, consider subscribing to the channel, and if you're getting value out of this content, please pass it along to a friend or a colleague. Now, if you get to the end of the video and if you have questions, please drop them in the comments below, or if you have ideas for future video topics, either way, I'd love to hear from you. So let's get into today's video. You know, I had a client ask me one time, how do we know if a candidate is lying on his resume? Now, every once in a while, there are those Academy Award winning candidates that are just really good liars, and they fool us. They slip through the cracks. I've had it happen with the best leaders, the best hiring managers that I work with. And of course, I've had candidates fool me by just being really good liars, but I think those are exceptions. I think what we can focus on in our interview process is obviously you're going to want to bring in multiple people, whether it's 3 or 4 people, whoever's on your leadership team, have them interview this person and then compare notes. And what you want to do there is just look for big discrepancies. I'm not saying that we need to examine every single word and every single detail, but look for big discrepancies in his answers. Make sure that you're asking similar questions. Maybe you're going to ask them different ways across each individual person who's interviewing, but if you're getting very inconsistent answers from the candidate, there's a really good chance that he's lying. And then of course, look at his history, right? How often does he stick around at each employer? And is he going to be able to maintain the truth as far as why he's left each place? Because liars tend to get picked out pretty easily. So what we want to do here is go through those 5 steps that you want to implement in your hiring and interviewing process so you can avoid making that bad hire. So the first thing that you want to do is avoid falling in love with the candidate on the first interview, whether it's in person or over the phone. Don't get infatuated with the individual. Make sure that you follow your interviewing process, which is step number 2. Have a hiring and interviewing process, whether that's for mid-level management, sales, or executives, right? Have a process for each type of category of individual that you're going to bring on. No matter how great the first interview goes, make sure that you follow your process. So going back to step number 1 about not getting overly excited, it's kind of like when you first start dating somebody. You're in that infatuation stage and that person can do no wrong. Well, now's the time to make sure that your interview process is shored up. So jumping to number 3 is making sure that you have an onboarding strategy. That's one of the things that a lot of companies can avoid or misstep is, hey, we got the interview process, we got our tools, we got our resources, we got good candidates coming through the door, but once they do come through the door, what does our onboarding strategy look like? So make sure that you have a consistent onboarding strategy. And again, it might look a little bit different for sales hires or operations hires or executives, but make sure that you have an onboarding strategy and make sure that when that candidate walks in day 1, that he knows exactly what the onboarding strategy is going to look like. Help that person feel comfortable with day 1. And the 4th thing that you want to do is set expectations clearly, often, and in writing. That's probably like one of the major things that I get a call, you know, as the recruiter 6 months in, 9 months in from my candidate or from my hiring manager saying, hey, this isn't working out. And oftentimes we can trace that back to a lack of setting expectations. So that's number 4, set expectations clearly, often, and in writing. And the 5th thing that builds on setting expectations, during the interview process, you're going to want to be transparent about the ugly truths of your company because there's no perfect place to work. There really isn't. So I would set the expectations very clear on what other candidates have struggled with in the past. Hey, maybe the last hire that you made, he got in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months in, and he was like, whoa, this isn't what I signed up for, because maybe that expectation of what the challenging part of the company was. Maybe you have a high degree of accountability within your organization. Hey, be transparent about that during the interview process. Let the candidate know how tough it is to work here, the high level of accountability that you have. And you know what? Those candidates will self-select out. They'll remove themselves from the interview process because they don't want to be in that environment where they have to be held accountable to a high degree. And by being transparent with some of those ugly truths, you'll have saved yourself thousands by making a bad hire. So that's it for today's video. We hope you're getting value out of this content. And if you are, consider subscribing to the channel. And as I mentioned at the beginning, if you have questions on this topic or if you have ideas for future video topics, please drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. So until next time, I'm Jim Schaefer, and we'll catch you on the next video.